Hello, Mr. Matt. How are you this fine evening? Figured I'd try to start the stream just about a minute early or so, just so I could make sure everything works. Hopefully the microphone is functioning this time. Well, hopefully you had a good day at work. I presume that means that you're probably in the US, right? That was a joke. Alright, so I'm going to give it one more second here. Now would be a good chance to pop questions, although you can wait until after I'm done if you like. But, alright, so today, the biggest reason why I am doing this stream is because I had the worst week and a half for 3D printers I think I have ever had. I perfectly accept that when you run a 3D printer, you're going to have issues, okay? It's a given. You're going to have maintenance problems. You need new nozzles, whatever. But typically, I don't have 3 printers all crap the bed at the same time. It's slightly awkward. So, this isn't really, I'm not going to review any of the printers I have today, okay? This is just commentary about the printers I'm using right now. The first one being the most interesting of them, which is the Z360, which is the Jenny printer that I have, that I lovingly call Jenny. I just doesn't feel like I should name it anything else since it already has that name. Have not come up with a name for the iNSTONE. The ANET A8, that one I call Tessa, of course. So anybody that's watched before knows that. The most irritating thing I think I could ever have happened with the Jenny. I have some builds that I have to do that needed to be done in either ABS or something comparable. PLA just wasn't going to cut it for this particular job. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to compromise, and I will go with the Hatchbox PET G. Well, before I got to the PET G, I decided I would try printing ABS filament on the Z360. And for my Australian friends, I think it's Z360. But anyway, I got it going, got it leveled, had the nice layers printing out, and this is the same printer that was acting up not that long ago, was kind of not extruding properly, so I had taken the 0.4 millimeter nozzle out, replaced it with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle with the same settings through Cura 2.6, I think, or is it 2.56, whatever that version is. I think it's close to the most current version. Was experimenting with the settings because I was trying to see if I could get this set up for a dual nozzle system, which is what it's for. Was told that most likely I'd be waiting until version 3 of Cura to get that solution fixed. Either way, I ended up trying the ABS, ran the ABS on the Z360, and it went poorly. It got up to temperature, supposedly. I think I was running it at 240, 230, 240 range, and I was getting filament, which is fine, and it started printing, which is great. The problem I ended up having was it just completely brain farted. Just stopped. I don't know whether something got overheated or exactly what happened, but comes to find out, okay, that's not exactly proper English. So it turns out that while it was heating up to the 240 range, it warped the PTFE tube that feeds the filament from the extruder. And now this is the Olsen block. So I did not think I was going to have any issues with that because the Olsen block doesn't really have a heat break. It has the PTFE tubing goes in through the top of the block, goes through a spring, goes into kind of a heat break-ish thing, and then into the nozzle. So I didn't really think it was going to be an issue. Well, it was. It actually deformed the PTFE tube, caused the filament to jam up a little bit because it was basically creating a huge amount of friction on the filament. It wasn't extruding properly, and then it clogged. Cleaned out the clog, realized what was going on, tried to start it up, and it bombed out. Same time, each time. It would stop at about 2 minutes. So I have since stopped, and then after that it actually quit working completely. So I ended up resetting the printer back to its stock settings and got it moving again. Well, at this point the filament damage was already done. It had already overflowed and caused major problems. Well, lately the Z360 has had a new issue, which was it wouldn't get past an error screen. Well, it turns out that the error screen was the thermistor, for whatever reason, was, I don't know if it's grounding out or exactly what it is, but these are sleeved, so they're not the glass bulb. I mean, the glass bulb's in them, but it's a metal sleeve to protect that. They weren't over torqued, they weren't over tightened or anything like that, so I backed it out just a little bit, and that seems to have fixed the error. When I was putting the assembly back together for the hot end after I had swapped out the Olsen block from one side to the other because it's a dual nozzle, I went to go screw everything back together, and one of the wires on the fan broke, and I didn't realize it at the time because it broke right next to where the solder joint is on that fan. It's that little 5-volt right in the back middle, and I started getting ooze. So yay! So anyway, I've replaced that nozzle since. I replaced the fan and fired up beautifully today, but I do not think I'm going to run the risk of running ABS on it, which is really upsetting for the amount of money that I spent on this thing, and the folks that I bought it from do not appear to be interested in helping out with that one at all. So if you want a decent printer that you could probably fix up to get going to where you want it to go, or use it for parts, whatever you want to do, it's great, but it's a little bit overpriced for what I'm able to get done with it at this point. Maybe it's a defect in the board, maybe it's some problem with the drivers, I don't know at this point, but it would seem to me that these guys should be able to have those answers for me when I ask them, which they have not. So I'm not being negative about this company. Well, okay, yeah, I am being a little negative because I'm mad, because I'd really like to be able to do PET-G on that printer. Okay, so long-winded done. The Z360 not fulfilling what I needed to do, but it will work well enough for PLA. Next, the iNSTONE. Love it. iNSTONE has been doing a great job for most of my production needs. It's been keeping pretty consistent quality. I don't even know how many prints I've run through it now. Probably at least a couple hundred by now. Maybe more. And it's been running without too many issues. I mean, I do have the occasion where if you let that thing run out of filament, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to take the assembly apart. After you heat it up, pull the extra filament out, and possibly clean the nozzle. But other than that, that's the only issues I've had with it. I've got a couple of screws that are getting very tired. That's a nice way of me saying that I've stripped them a little bit. My fault. That's what happens when you look for a screwdriver that is right in front of you. Or use one of the cheap ones that you get with some of these 3D printer kits that do not work, and you probably should never use them. But I used it anyway, and I have rounded out some of the Phillips head screws on them. But there's only 2, so I could replace them at any point. Anyway, where I was going is I decided I was going to try doing PETG on the iNSTONE. Their website clearly says, well, not their website, but the Amazon site where I purchased this clearly states that it can do ABS printing without any issues. Well, at least it says it can do it. It says ABS, PLA, etc., etc., etc. Well, if it can do ABS, it should be able to do PETG, in my opinion. And if I'm wrong, you guys feel free to interject this one. But I am running a project that's PETG right now on the printer. So you can see the image above here. Look how slow that thing's going. This thing is set up for a 50 millimeter per second job on the slow side. I have got it turned down to 30% of the speed on the machine itself. So 30% of 50 millimeters per second is stupid slow. So an 18-hour print that I had started, which I could have canceled, I get that, but it had already run 8-9 hours, and I was like, not gonna be doing that over again. But the problem is that at 245 degrees Celsius running PETG, it's barely hot enough to do what I needed to do for the PETG. Basically, if it goes too fast, the nozzle cools down way too much. So I had initially started it at about 80%, which seemed to do okay for a little while, and then I started seeing spots where I was getting voids because it wasn't being able to stretch the filament longer, far enough, whatever. And so yes, it is now officially turned down to 30% of 50 millimeters per second, and that sucks. So an 18-hour print has turned into about 3 days. I can't have that kind of production time. It doesn't work well for me. So what else? So Jenny has been a trooper. Jenny just did a 30-hour print a couple days ago. I'm not exactly sure what occurred, but the print itself finished, and it was at the maximum height of the printer. I mean, I actually hit the plastic at the top of the printer because I had stretched it too far. That was my fault. I had no idea. I thought I was actually under. So I don't think that I necessarily hit the top of the frame on the ANET A8, but what I did do is I hit one of the spacer blocks that I had put in. I made calibration spacers for my ANET that I could back the gantry up against to make sure that it was perfectly level. And yeah, that didn't go so well because it actually hit those, which were maybe 1.5 centimeters-ish in height. So yeah, that was interesting to find out about that. I didn't notice it when I took the tooth off because I created a 3. Well, I didn't create it. I got it off of Thingiverse. I would have to look up the exact model. It was a really nice model. Didn't have the best of luck getting that printed initially when I started it, but I have since gotten it to print perfectly. And I delivered it to my customer, and they were very happy with it. I think my issue is is that I went to heat it up the other day to start another job. Because I have a couple of different rolls of PET G that I picked up because I wanted to experiment with that, and it didn't seem to be getting up to temperature. So I had made a post about that on the Facebook 3D printing group, and somebody did mention that I should probably get one of those little laser thermometers. Turns out it wasn't that. The PTFE tube inside the space block, or the heat break, decided it wanted to fail. I don't have any spares, so I had to order some. But I also decided, since I was doing that, I was gonna order the E3D clone. And yeah, you can yell at me all you want about it, but it was the right price, which is cheap. So I figured, you know what, this has always been my experimenting printer, so I may as well take that a step farther and actually experiment with it. So I will be installing the E3D clone once I get the parts printed. So I'm going to repair it by putting in a new heat break. I'm going to print the upgrade parts that I need, which includes the X-axis carriage. It'll also include the extruder mount for the top of it. I'm going to get all that together, and I will do another stream of that so we can actually, you know, hang out. You guys can watch me make a butt of myself. Yeah, because I'm going to do this like there's no directions. I'm not going to do any research on this whatsoever. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take the E3D knockoff nozzle, mount it. I'm going to take the extruder. I'm going to mount that. I'm going to run a PTFE tube from one to the other. I'm going to level it, and then I'm going to print with it and see what happens. Because why not? It sounds fun to me. And if it gets messed up, then I got to go through and change some settings, but no biggie. So anyway, this is my tirade, my rant. Not really rant. It's just you know what? 3D printing happens, and this is what we got to do with it, right? So anyway, this wasn't really intended to be a horribly long stream. It's only been 18 minutes. So does anybody have anything they want to ask? Because I've been doing a lot of different nothings lately. I've been completely swamped with work and some other stuff, so I haven't gotten near as much done as I'd like to get done. Got some projects to do this weekend. I'm working on something for a business. Requires some mechanical know-how, engineering, and diagrams. So if anybody's interested, go ahead and email me. It would require a little bit of a vetting process. I don't want to just invite anybody to help me with this, because it's, well, from my family and for, you know, other people as well. And I think it's a great idea, but it's going to need a little bit of tweaking and development, and eventually I may hit Kickstarter with it. We'll see. So anyway, if there's any takers on that, please, you know, send me an email or message, post in the, you know, comments below after this video goes live or published, whatever. Okay, so questions? 'Cause I don't think I have anything else. It's kind of a mellow day. I don't like being horribly long-winded unless you guys have questions to ask or comments, so. Oh, what else can I say that would be interesting for the next... Man, I could do it for 10 more minutes, I guess, but then I would just be droning on about nothing. Yes, I have the PET G in yellow, and I have a PET G in gold, both through Hatchbox. that I purchased this week. That looks fun. I'm going to be doing a Charmander out of orange PLA. That's coming up. I mean, I can display some of these prints if you guys want to. I mean, it's not something that I normally do. I just kind of like to comment when I have issues, but... Alright. Well, anyway, it's been 20 minutes or so. Another update. I need to find out how to be more interesting, because I tend to be a little bit monotone. Maybe it's because I'm tired. But I think I'm going to sign off now. If you guys, I think he's still live. You guys can go run over to Dustin's channel. He's over, you know, the Jatman. He's, I think, live streaming right now as well. So, anyway, guys, peace. Love you. Thank you for subscribing to me and listening to me spew about stuff. We will, as soon as I get these parts in, I will do a live stream on the E3D clone, and you guys can watch it start up and see if it does what it's supposed to do and make me look like a butt, which is cool because I like doing that. Everybody knows I like to make blue smoke. So Matt, you have a great night. Thank you for coming. And everybody else that's lurking about, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. As always, I encourage people to like and subscribe to me on Facebook and Twitter. Information is, of course, right here. It's on your discretion. I'm not telling you to do it, but if you want any questions answered, if you want to give me ideas for content in the future, that's cool. You can also make comments on my camera sucks, and I know that. I'm working on it. I actually had more complaints about this camera than the one I'm using. Okay, this one 720, this one 1080, but it's a fisheye lens, and some people find that kind of weird. So anyway, guys, have a great night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Leave your comments below, and I will see you probably Wednesday. Maybe Thursday. No, not Thursday. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, talk to you guys later.